So you're thinking about making a move to the Portland metro area and you're trying to avoid the worst traffic spots on the east side of town. Well, you're in luck because today's video, we're gonna talk about 5 areas on the east side that really stink and you don't wanna get caught in, especially if you're making a move here and you're trying to find a place to live. You really should know about these. And if you stick around to the end, we're gonna talk about what we consider to be the worst traffic spot on the east side, and we're getting after it right now.
If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in the greater Portland metro area, then make sure that you click that subscribe button and tap that notification bell so that you can be the first to know about everything there is about this wonderful city.
I'm Ann Stewart. This is Erica Hagfirst. We're your go-to gals covering A to B, acreage to the burbs. So stick around on our channel. And if you do plan on making a move to the Portland metro area, all of our contact information is in the description below. Do not hesitate to reach out. We're jumping on phone calls, Zooms with people all the time, looking to make the move to the area, helping them make it smooth in their transition. And we love what we do and we'd love to help you. All right, so we are getting started with our first traffic spot to be aware of on the east side of town. And Erica, what is it?
Sellwood Bridge, baby.
Sellwood.
It is, so a couple years ago, they redid, well, it's been probably several years now, but they redid this bridge and it's gorgeous. It's fantastic. However, it is like one of very few spots to cross over, especially if you're coming up from the south. It's, you know, one of the first main spots if you're in Portland to cross over east to west. And so you have a lot of people, it takes you right into Sellwood, obviously, hence the name, but it also takes you from South Portland, also very popular area. So you get all these people and it basically drops down to one lane and you have big wide sidewalks on it, which is fantastic because there's a lot of foot traffic as well. So you've got foot traffic, you've got lots of vehicles, bikes, you name it, it's there. And the hard part is that it's one lane each direction once you get off of the bridge as well. So it's not like there's a lot of space to disperse. Tacoma gets really backed up because it's one of the main roads through Sellwood. And so, you know, you have this constant flow of traffic. Probably starting about 3:30, 4 o'clock, it's just a little bit of a nightmare to go through there. It starts backing up onto Highway 43 or Macadam as you head closer into town. And they've done a good job of trying to keep the traffic off of the north side of 43 because it separates, but it still backs up because you've got a lot of intersections not that far away from this bridge. And so just know that it gets really crowded. There's not a lot of options, but just plan your travel accordingly if you're going to be crossing that bridge a lot during your commute.
Yep. Just like Erica said, it is kind of the only bridge if you're living in that Sellwood, Milwaukee area that you're going to want to take to get over to the west side of town fast. A lot of people love living in Sellwood or surrounding areas, but they want to, or they work on the west side and it's an easy jump to get on Sellwood, but on certain time frames, it can be a lot of traffic. So just be aware if you live in the Sellwood area or parts of the east side that will utilize the Sellwood Bridge, it can get a little heavy in the traffic.
And if you're somebody who is planning to, because we do run into this a lot where somebody's like, I want to bike to work, I'm going to, ride my, just know that you're going to be facing a lot of traffic that you're riding in between. Now there's lots of trails, so that's super cool. But in terms of crossing over this bridge, while you do have a very wide sidewalk that you are meant to ride on, just know that there is going to be a lot of traffic on that bridge during high commute time. So hopefully you're comfortable with riding in traffic. Same if you're a runner or a walker, just know that you're going to face a lot of traffic.
All right, the second traffic spot you need to be aware of on the east side, and this one almost is west side too, but it's really where you go to the east side if you're commuting, and that is the Abernethy Bridge. That's the bridge that is 205, which is one of our major freeways, and it kind of goes around from the west side to the east side. So it kind of starts in the Westland area, and then it goes over towards the Oregon City. And for whatever reason, it is bottlenecked on this bridge so often. I think it's a lot because there is a freeway exit to get onto this 205 Abernethy Bridge from the Westland, and then it merges with all the current traffic that's coming from the west side to the east side. And so it just kind of slows down. You have to merge. You have to wait for people to merge. It can get really convoluted in that area. And sometimes during heavy peak traffic seasons, it can be just really kind of a slowdown, and sometimes you have to even wait in that area. And they have also been doing a lot of construction over the years in that area.
Well, so they're actually doing a big bridge reconstruction right now. And I think to go along with what you're saying, the hard part is that you have exits on both sides and on-ramps on both sides of the bridge. And then you have an extra lane there that goes away, obviously, once the bridge is done and those exits have happened. And so you've got just a lot of movement happening with people getting on, people getting off, and then trying to keep traffic going, especially right now with so much construction going on. There's a lot to look at. You know, and it hasn't always been a great bridge. So it's, you know, been relatively slow. People try, you know, a lot of jockeying in this area. So this also comes not too far after the speed limit on 205 North goes down to 55, but yet you still have a lot of people just trying to, you know, bull through at 65, 70 miles an hour. So a lot of, you know, crazy driving through here. You've got exits and on ramps on both ends of this bridge, which just makes it a little bit of a nightmare. And then it is actually a really pretty area. So, you know, you have the little looky-loos who want to look across, but I travel this area like almost every day. It's in my daily commute. And so, you know, even today, I ran into traffic there because it was sunny and nice out.
Everyone's distracted, looking at the water.
Yeah. So just know that, like, you know, if you're traveling during high traffic times when people are coming, because West Linn, this area, if you're on the West Linn side, it's a great feeder from the west side to the east side, but, you know, people coming down Highway 43 and vice versa. So it gets a lot of action.
All right. The third traffic spot, again, we thought we'd kind of piggyback on the one we just went over, the Abernethy Bridge, because leading up to the Abernethy Bridge is the Stafford area, the Stafford Road exit. This sucker gets so congested. And again, we're talking about two spots that are within a mile or so of each other as you're heading towards the east side. So something to be really aware of.
Yeah, it's a couple miles, but it is again, this is one of those areas where a lot of things, you know, from the west side feed to this on-ramp. And so if you have to go to the east side, which there's a lot of back and forth, especially down in this area. But Stafford, you know, you've got people coming from I-5, and as they're starting to hit that 205 to head east, after this exit, man, it gets real busy. Even leading up to it, when the traffic is really bad, you're starting pre-exit number 3, which is Stafford. And it is taking you all the way past, sometimes as far as, you know, exit 6, which is the Willamette exit on 205 if you're heading north.
Sorry, just had to add a little humor. You're usually sad here.
You know, and the hard part is, this is really like the main, otherwise you're going over to Abernethy. You can take the back roads and try to get over to Abernethy Bridge, but Highway 43 gets really backed up. So this is just such a nightmare of traffic, and there's usually no reason for it. And it's 2 lanes. It's a divided highway at this point, so there's really, again, no reason that this should slow down. You're heading down a slight decline. You do have, obviously, the on-ramp from exit 3, the people in the Stafford area who are going to be heading north on 205, but the amount of traffic coming on seems a little bit weird for the backup that happens, and it's going to, you know, it starts about 2:30, 3 o'clock-ish.
Yeah.
And just continues to build until about 5:36 when it's at its, like, peak worseness.
And actually, just yesterday, I sent Erica a little screen capture of somebody on social media who was sitting in traffic right in Stafford saying it took them how long to get like a mile? It was
it's ridiculous.
40 minutes or something like that. Because if you get any type of accidents or things that even further the problem, you can literally just stay stagnant. So buffer time when you're coming through this area. And then like we said before previously, the second traffic-y spot as I'm moving the map is just, you know, you get a little release as you get off some of these, you know, exit 10 in West Linn and whatnot. But then as you approach the 205, you know, Abernethy Bridge, once again, you're caught in a bottleneck. So these are just 2 little icky spots of traffic that are heading towards the east side of town that we wanted you to be really aware of.
And what's going to be really frustrating is that, like, this area, 205 is actually a really nice highway in general. It has wide shoulders. Like I said, it's a divided highway. So there's no reason that it should back up. I mean, they should be able to get off the side of the road, and there's lots of room.
Yep.
Not the case.
And by the way, we always recommend, I think we said this on our last video about the map tour, is use the Waze app. The Waze app in town is great. If you haven't used it before, look it up, download the app. It will give you options and it'll tell you what is going on. So when there's heavy traffic moments and you want to know if it's even worse than it normally is, that app is going to tell you what's the fastest way based on what people are giving feedback to the app. So just a little side note. Okay, the trafficy spot number 4, as you see on the map, is that darn freeway called Highway 84.
Oh my goodness. This thing, so I think it's always worse as it's merging onto I-405. And just like on the west side, it comes to an end. So 84 ends right at 405 and you have to make that decision whether you're going north or you're going to go south. It's pertinent here that you know which lane you need to be in because there's an exit on the right just before the split, and then obviously one lane on the right hand will go north and then the other 2 lanes go south. However, one of those 2 lanes as you go south then ends very quickly in or terminates into an exit. So there's a lot of moving around here. You're dumped onto 405, which is like 4 lanes wide at that point, and then it splits again and adds an extra lane. So for whatever reason, people have a hard time though when they have to make that decision, and they're not.
And it comes up kind of quick because everybody's moving fast at that point.
It does come up quick, and it is not the easiest turn. It's a pretty relatively sharp turn, so you have to slow down for that. But that backup gets to be, I mean, pretty much the entire length of 84. And you know, going the other direction, so if you're heading east on 84, it also, you tend to get a lot of slowdown. You may get a little bit of reprieve, but generally on 84, especially during high traffic times, you are not going the speed limit. You're not even going to go close to the speed limit because you have 405 that's heading north merging onto there for all the people who want to head further east. It's the main drag out to the airport, especially if you're on the west side.
Yep.
And so it just sees so much traffic. You know, we have a lot of people who live outside of the city and then, you know, but want to work in the city. So all of those people have to disperse. And 84 is one of those main east to west drags for them. So in the evening, they're heading back home and it just gets really crowded. There's a lot of exits off the highway. And then it obviously meets up with 205. And you know, once you get out of the city on 84, totally different ball game. Like once you pass, I would almost say past the airport, past like Gresham area, man, exactly. It really does start to clear up and it becomes a whole different ball game, and that's going to take you into the gorge, but that's another video. So, but I would say, you know, 84 between 405 and 205, nightmare.
Yeah, so it's just this section right in here. Doesn't look like much, does it? But you're going to use that 84 a lot, especially like Erica said, if you're heading out towards the airport or you live in Northeast Portland, because Northeast is both north and south of the 84, getting to and from I-5 or 205. And it is the fastest route. Even though it does get high traffic, you're going to want to use 84. Most people do, especially on the east side. So it's just really be aware of the traffic. And a lot of times, like I use it all the time when I come home from the airport. And it's almost like even at night, sometimes in the middle of the night, like if you've got a late flight or whatever and you're driving home, like sometimes I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And it is because it's kind of like it gets bottlenecked really fast kind of in this area. And so people go fast and then they slow down. There are some turns. You can kind of see it in here too. They're like, it's a little bit curvy. So people go fast, then they slow down. And then they have to really slow down once they get to this area right in here to decide if they're going to go, you know, whichever direction. And it's like one lane, tight lanes. So you got to make a decision quickly which area you're going to go. So a lot of times it's, you know, when it gets trafficy, it just slows down to a creep. All right. And because you stuck around to hear the last worst east side traffic spot is the I-5 interstate going from Portland to Vancouver. This messy little area is a stinker.
So bad.
It makes it feel like you can't really live comfortably in Portland and commute over to Vancouver or vice versa. Erica, why don't you tell the audience what is going on in this area?
Yeah, so this is a messy little section. I actually lived this commute for a while. A lot of people think that they're going to live in Vancouver and then they're going to work in Portland and it's going to be fantastic. And it's not. Plain and simple, it's not. So what we have going on here is that on both sides of this bridge, again, you have some on-ramps very late, like right before the bridge happens. And so you've got an influx of traffic coming in from there. Then you have lots of lanes. I think 4 lanes on each side of the bridge. But they have to converge down into 3. The bridge is only 3 lanes wide. There's no shoulder, none. Like, this is an old bridge. There is not a lot of extra space. And when you've got like 2 18-wheelers that are crossing over, or some big, delivery vehicles, RVs, it feels real tight.
Yep.
So not having a lot of space, converging down, or, dropping a lane as you get onto the bridge, and then having on-ramps on either side of it, like right before you get on
after
the
and right
bridges.
before. Right here,
It gets
right here.
so congested. Then throw in the fact that you've got bridge lifts occasionally. That's a nightmare. You just basically sit and wait for whatever it is that needs to go under the bridge to go under the bridge, and then they then they put the bridge back in place. And then also, because it is such a narrow bridge, there's no shoulders. If you have an accident either at the beginning of the bridge or in the middle of the bridge, which is super, to be honest, I'm surprised they don't happen more often.
Yeah.
It's an absolute nightmare. So when I lived in Vancouver, it was about 5 miles north of the bridge. That 5 miles could take me 20 minutes, or it could take me 45 to an hour, easily.
Yep.
5 miles. And that's just because you never knew what you were going to get. You never knew what traffic was going to throw at you. And the same thing as I would head home in the evening. If I wasn't starting my commute by about 2:30 to cross that bridge, it was a nightmare. I was going to sit in traffic for a couple hours and, slowly make my way up. It's not that many miles. I think it's maybe 3 miles from like the downtown area to get to the bridge.
Yep.
But that 3 miles could take you for freaking ever. And so, you were always having to plan. Everything was like, can I plan my commute? Can I plan my commute? And to be honest, and you've got experience with this, like the weekends were not better.
No, in fact, just this last weekend, I have family up in Vancouver, and it was a Sunday afternoon. We had planned a little get together, and I literally got congested right in here, right before going over the bridge. And I was sitting there in stopped traffic, and I had to wait. And then my sister texted me, and she's like, hey, I'm stuck right on I-5 before the bridge. I'm like, so are we. And, it's a Sunday afternoon. There was no accident. There was nothing really that like indicated that we should be all stopped and waiting. Finally, it released. We went across. The other thing, like Erica had said, is sometimes people, when they are doing this commute, they're getting off the freeway exit right here onto Highway 14, where you go to Camas, Washougal, and people have to slow down right before the bridge. So it's like this crawl to get to the bridge. Then you're on the bridge. You feel like you're moving, and then you have to slow down again for people to get off, if that's in fact where they're going. But we really always try to let people know that if you're going to buy a house in Vancouver and work in Portland, or even vice versa, you really need to go and take that drive first, because inevitably a lot of people realize that was a bad move because they're sitting in traffic. Now, you might have off hours and that might work for you.
Yeah.
But what we're saying is, even on weekends and sometimes off hours, for whatever reason, this area gets bottlenecked and you can't really predict it. This I-5 goes north to Seattle and south to California. It's a major interstate. There's also, during the summertime, there is a lot of water activity in this particular area down near the marina. That's the Columbia River right there. And there's a lot of boats and water activity. So people get off the freeway right before then. But yeah, this is just and there's really only 2 bridges to get across to Vancouver. So let's just address that. So a lot of people think, oh, I'll just go use, this bridge over here, the 205. Nope. There's only 2 bridges to get up there. 205 also gets congested.
It doesn't. And to be honest, it's not just easy to get over to 205. Like if I-5 is your main bridge that like you're going to come to first, it's a little bit of a trek. It's going to be enough that you're not going to want to just be like, oh, well, we'll just pop over to 205. It's not that simple.
No.
The other thing that we don't necessarily, or people don't take into account, is it's almost a little bit of a butterfly effect. So, Seattle's a bigger city than we are, but they're only about 2.5 hours north of us. And so they tend to get a lot more sporting events, or concerts. And when that happens, obviously there's a contingency of people in Oregon, Portland area, and they're like, hey, I'm going to go to that concert. I'm going to go to that sporting event. I want to go see the Seahawks, whatever it is. And guess what? They all influx north.
Traffic.
And the traffic, especially getting across the bridge, it's enough of an event, and there's enough people who go that it becomes a traffic issue for us down here. So, those are things to think about. I will say, like, sometimes if you're living in Portland, working up in Vancouver, it's slightly better. But you still run into the risks of the bridge lifts, the accidents. But I will say
or getting home quickly if that's something you need to be,
just because you don't know. But it is, if you're going across the wrong direction at the, high traffic times, it is a nightmare. And there's just there's nowhere to go, especially like you might be able to like do a little bit of maneuvering before you get to the bridge. But as Ann said, there's two options. And once you're committed to one, it's not super easy to get to the other.
Hey, thanks for sticking around and watching the 5 worst icky little traffic spots on the east side of Portland. If you are making that move to the Portland area, we hope you found this super helpful to know. If you have other videos you want us to do content on because you are thinking about making a move and it's on your mind to know about something specific, we'd love to hear your feedback. So drop us a comment below, and better yet, reach out to us. Let's jump on a call and talk about how we can help you make a move to the Portland area. And we'll see you on the next video.